start off by just thanking everybody who was here last week, holding it down while I was away. The crew always do a wonderful job while I'm away, and I am eternally grateful. So special thank you to Cynthia for emceeing, holding it down, and to Sandy Forrest for bringing a wonderful message about self-love. If you missed it, you should go check it out. It's good. So we are continuing on with our theme for the year, a day at a time, oneness. And our theme for the month of February is loving, L-O-V-I-N-G, loving. And as always, I have a few spiritual principles and practices I'd like to read to get us anchored and centered in the message today. This comes from Ernest Holmes and What We Believe. We've just numbered them and called them principles because they are principles. There's lots of principles that one might live by who are engaged in this type of teaching, New Thought. So this morning we are working with spiritual principle number 1, and it states, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. We believe this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but it is not absorbed by its creation. Spiritual principle number 6. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Spiritual principle number 7. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature. Let me start over. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And finally, spiritual principle number 4. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. So, this year, our theme is a call to action, a call to act. Last year, our theme was a call to practice. And we said that if you didn't have a spiritual practice, the invitation last year then was for you to start a spiritual practice, to be committed to your practice, do it every day, to start praying, to start meditating, to start contemplating, to start journaling, to do something. If you had not committed to doing something on a daily basis. And the invitation then to those of us who have a practice, the invitation was to go deeper in our practice. That is, to not be so consumed with the quantity, but to get focused on the quality of our practice. So that the time that we spent in our practice, the 3 minutes, the 4 minutes, the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes, whatever time it was that we spent in our practice, that it was meaningful and rich, and that when we were done, we were different. That was our call last year. And so this year, our call or the invitation is to practice. All of our monthly themes you'll see end in I-N-G. Understanding, loving, listening, trusting, a call to action. And so this month, our theme is loving. And the most loving thing that we can do is to change. The most loving thing that any of us can do is to change. And the tool that we use in centers like this and at the Center of Peace to change is prayer. It's our number 1 tool to change ourselves. Prayer changes you. 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 Prayer changes who? Yes. You. Y'all with me? Early this morning, yes. Prayer changes you. And in Ernest Holmes' book, Prayer, here's what he says about prayer. On page 20 and 21, in a reading titled, Prayer is Essential to Happiness, Ernest Holmes says, prayer is constructive because it enables us to establish closer contact with the fountain of wisdom, and we are less likely to be influenced by appearances around us, to judge, quote, according to the appearance. Righteous prayer sets the law of the spirit of life in motion for us. He says prayer is essential, not to the salvation of the soul, for the soul is never lost, but to the conscious well-being of the soul that does not understand itself. There is a vitality in our communion with the infinite, which is productive of the highest good. As fire warms the body, as food strengthens us, as sunshine raises our spirits, so there is a subtle transfusion of some invisible force and such communion weaving itself into the very warp and woof of our own mentalities. This conscious commingling of thought with spirit is essential to the well-being of every part of us. Prayer has stimulated countless millions of people to higher thoughts and nobler deeds. That which tends to connect our minds with the universal mind lets in a flood of its consciousness. Prayer is essential to changing ourselves. Prayer is essential in changing ourselves. And we know that there are two parts in prayer. We find in the Bible, in the book of James, that it says, faith without works is dead. And here we say, treat and move your feet. That's two parts. Treat and move your feet. It is the word and the embodiment of the word. There's two parts to it. Don't let yourself just think that it is the word. No, we're not just supposed to stop once we say the word. We are to follow the word up with action. We're not just to hear the word, we're to be moved by the word. We don't just pray, we're moved by prayer. We don't just say the word, there is an embodiment of the word. We treat and we move our feet. We open up, the action is an opening up to a new idea. That's part two. When you treat, you say the word, and then you open up to a new idea. Two parts, treat and move your feet. The problem is that some of us, we got it backwards. We move our feet, and then we treat. And then we pray, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago, and they were telling me that they were going to get a phone call, and they knew they was going to get this phone call, and that they didn't really want to take the phone call because the person who was calling them, whatever it is that they was going to share with them, they felt like the person wasn't going to be able to receive it. So they said, I really don't even, I don't even know why they're calling me, because they're not going to listen to what I have to say anyway. And so they were asking me, what should I do? And so I said, don't answer it. Just don't answer the call. But I should have given them two options. I should have said, number one, don't answer the call. And number two, if you must answer the call, pray before you answer the call. So the next day they call me and they like, girl, he called. And I answered. And then they said, Oh my God, why did I answer that call? Two options. Pray, pray, pray. Don't get it backwards. Don't move your feet and then treat. Dr. Martin Luther King, in his book, A Strength to Love, in the reading titled Love in Actions, he says, the necessity of spiritual maturity is forgiving and love. Forgiving and love. And the most loving thing that we can do is to change. And the way that we change is through prayer. But don't get caught up in praying the impossible prayer. And what's the impossible prayer? Change them. Change that. Change this. Change him. Change her. That's an impossible prayer. We want to be about the business of praying a prayer that leads us into possibility. Change me. Change me. Don't pray the impossible prayer. When you are praying the impossible prayer, you will get stuck. Our call is an action. Our call is to move, to do something. But when you pray the impossible prayer, you found that you are stuck in your emotions, or perhaps stuck with your emotions. I mean, whatever. You're stuck. We want to pray a prayer that is full of possibility. And the way to change is by being interested in the truth. The way for us to change is by being invested in the truth. We know that a mind imbued, filled with truth, is one with God. You want to change? Be invested in the truth. Be interested in the truth. Our principle states that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Any one of us may be a revealer of truth. Any one of us can choose to be interested in the truth so very much. Any one of us can take time, 3 minutes a day, 2 minutes a day, 1 minute a day, to be invested in truth, because the mind imbued with truth is one with God. In The Strength to Love by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, on page 40 and 41, here's what he says. He says that the call for intelligence is a call for open-mindedness, sound judgment, and love of truth. It is a call for men and women to rise above the stagnation of closed-mindedness and the paralysis of gullibility. One does not need to be a profound scholar to be open-minded, nor a keen academician to engage in the assiduous pursuit of truth. Any one of us can be open to truth. And the definition of love, according to this reading, is an assiduous pursuit of truth. I'm in search of truth from the time I wake up to the time I lay down at night. It does not stop. I want to know the truth. I want to be able to distinguish when I'm telling myself the truth or not my truth. I want to be able to distinguish when I've landed into the principles that are eternal and everlasting, that opens me up to a new idea. Love is a pursuit of truth. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, he says it is an unswerving devotion to truth. That's love in action. He says that he calls this aggressive love. We are always always in pursuit of truth, unswerving in our pursuit of it. It calls on us then to check in with ourselves to see what ideas we are devoted to. If it's a devotion of truth, we should know what ideas we're holding on to and we are devoted to. To check in to see if we are stuck in what had happened. If you are living in what had happened, you stuck. You stuck. Our call is one of action. Thank God the truth is not dependent upon what had happened. You know what I'm saying? Check in to see if the ideas that you are devoted to is backed up by what she said or what she didn't say, or what he did say or what he didn't say, what had happened. Check in to see if the thoughts, the ideas that you are devoted to are based upon what they did do or what they didn't do. And don't stop there, then move to your interpretation of what they said or what they didn't do. Because there are the ideas that you are devoted to. So you have to know which ideas you are devoted to. Because our action is one of devotion to the truth. But most are devoted to the ideas that affirm what had happened. The problem is that we don't remember what had happened. A small percentage of what had happened. So, ours then is to not believe it. Don't believe it. Don't believe your own interpretation of what happened. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not saying to deny that something did happen. Don't deny it, but be very clear about your interpretation of it. If you aren't open to a new idea about it, which is the most loving thing that you can do, because you open up to a new idea, you're stuck. Ours is a call to a devotion, an unswerving devotion of truth. Know what ideas you are devoted to, your interpretation of what had happened. And then don't believe it. Don't believe it. Don't get stuck there. Our call is one to action. Aggressive, unswerving devotion to the truth, to prayer, even when you don't want to pray. Even when you don't feel like praying. Why? Because prayer is essential. It's essential in changing you, and it's essential in changing me. It's loving. It's the most loving thing that we can do. This call to action is not an invitation for us to get clear about what we ought to do. It's not an invitation for us to simply think about what we ought to do. No, we are to stop thinking about what we ought to do, move into action, and do something. Ask your neighbor, what is you doing? What is you doing? What is you doing? Don't get caught up in thinking about what you ought to do. What is you doing? Are you praying? What is you doing? Are you loving? Are you doing the most loving thing that you can do? Are you in the pursuit of an unswerving pursuit of love? Aggressive love, that is, what is you doing? Love in action is being open to a new idea. That's what love in action is. Consider this idea that Brother David Stendhal Rast offers us. He's a monk who's written lots and lots of books about gratefulness and joy. He offers us this new idea to consider, that everything in your life is a gift. A gift. Consider that as a new idea. Everything in your life is a gift. Everything. Consider it. Everything and everyone is a gift. That's the prayer. Well, that's part one of the prayer. And then there's part two to the prayer. Remember, prayer is two parts. You treat, and then you move your feet. So in considering this new idea, then, he gives us three choices, three ways to be moved into action. Because we're doing the most loving thing that we can do. That's changing ourselves. And in moving into prayer, we consider that everything is a gift. So, here's what you can do. Number one, if everything is a gift, you can enjoy it. And to the one who is engaged in prayer, to the one who is in the assiduous pursuit of truth, who is thinking about truth, invested in truth from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, one who is available to this indwelling presence in heaven, when the prayer is answered, you ain't got no problem. You can enjoy it. Number one, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Everything is going good, enjoy it. Ain't nothing going good, enjoy it. Number two, he says, patiently. And there is a long, long indication that we should spend some time with that word. Patiently accept what cannot be changed. Patiently accept what cannot be changed. And to the one who is engaged in the most loving thing that you can do, prayer, you can get to a point where you can accept what cannot be changed. Option number two. And finally, option number three, if you don't like what life has given you, or you don't want what life has given you, then get up and do something. Get up and do something. But not just any old thing. Don't be out here running around acting like no fool. Do the most loving thing that you can do. Pray. Pray. Why? Because prayer changes you. Enjoy it. Patiently, 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 prayerfully, 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 get to a place where you can accept what cannot be changed. They got their opinion? Accept it. Judgment? Accept it. They got their own idea about what happened? Accept it. Or get up and do something. Pray. The most loving thing we can do. Practitioners, join me. Join me. Join me as we engage in the most essential thing that we can be doing here and now. Being moved into prayer, allowing ourselves just to become aware of a power and a presence that is at the very center of our lives. In fact, it is who and what we are, for we know that the highest God and the innermost God are one. Let us just begin to become aware here and now of this power and this presence, this energy, this essence, this intelligence, this love that is. Let us begin to just affirm and know that it is everywhere equally present and is at the very center of our lives, the very thing that is breathing us, and that we can never be separate and apart from it. Let us in this moment declare and decree, affirm and know truly, truly, that the most loving thing that we can do is to be engaged in the act of prayer. As I pray this prayer for me, as I pray this prayer for you, I am moved. I am moved by my word and affirming and knowing that all of my needs are met. I am moved into enjoying then all, whatever it is that I have prayed for. I know that it is divine, and as I know that this is true for me, I know too that whatever is in your life, that it too is divine, that it is of God, because it is God. And my prayer for you, just as it is my prayer for myself, that I might open up to a new idea so that I can see it differently, so that I might be moved to enjoy it. I don't care what he said. I'm going to enjoy it. I don't care what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, who it came from, how much it costs. Enjoy it. I affirm for you as I affirm for myself the ability within me to patiently, prayerfully be open to accepting what cannot change. They not going to change? Okay. That is our prayer. That is our prayer. It's not going to change? Okay. Okay. I pray for you as I pray for myself, that I'm always moved into action. That the moment I identify something in my life that is not serving me and that I am not in service of, I'm moved to get up and to do something, and not just any old thing. I affirm for you as I affirm for myself, and know that I'm moved. I'm moved into prayer the instant. I'm moved into prayer every moment. I'm moved in a way of pursuing truth time and time again. For my mind and your mind imbued with truth is one with God. It's one with God. And whatever you are seeking will find you. Whatever you are ready to know, you will know. Whatever it is that you might be in need of will be yours. It's essential that we open up to this so that we may change, so that we may do the most loving thing that we can do. My prayer for you, as it is my prayer for me, that nothing then gets in the way, nothing to disturb, nothing to deter. I am determined to live in truth. I'm so moved in this moment just to give thanks, truly to give thanks for this great understanding, for this teaching, for these people, for you. I am grateful for it, reminding me of the principles that I live by. I'm grateful that each Sunday and in our classes. And when we're together, we can remind each other of the principles that we live by, the principles that are unfailing, the principles that are always in operation for us, the principles that is always causing us to see good, that's always causing us to affirm the goodness in us, that's always causing us to see the goodness that is everywhere around us. I'm grateful and so moved in this moment to simply surrendering my word. As we have prayed, as we have treated, let us now move our feet and declare it to be so, because it is so. Won't you join me in saying, and so it is. So as we journey on throughout our week, let me remind you to check in and to see just which ideas you are devoted to. Are you devoted to what had happened, or are you devoted to truth? If you find yourself stuck, ask yourself, what is you doing? And do the most loving thing that you can do. Pray. And so it is.